What is going on, Panther Lair? We are back talking about the Pittsburgh Panthers 73-81 home loss to the Texas A&M Aggies this past Tuesday night. Now, in the prior video, I talked about what went right for Pitt during their second half under 12 media timeout 16-0 run. Here, I'm looking at the last 5 minutes of the game and the things that did not go right, which ultimately led to their loss. So I'm going to isolate a couple things here, some turnovers, I think some wasted possessions or possessions that resulted in a much more difficult shot than they could have had. And let's just dive into that here. So the first here are going to be the back-to-back turnovers for Nojus Indricitis. Now, I do like him as a spot-up shooter. I do like him as a secondary ball handler, but there's been videos that I've already put out over the first, 8, 9, well, this would be the 9th game, but the prior 8 games where I had wondered, is his ball handling good enough to run the offense against better competition and in high-pressure situations? Maybe not those things specifically, but at least had the question, like, we'll see what his ball handling is like and his decision-making is like when things get harder. Of course, Tuesday night, they were a little bit harder than some of the mid-majors. So one of the things here is I do want to start with this possession because I just ended, or this kind of action here, because I just ended the last video on this, and you can kind of see the differences when this is not executed as cleanly and what the results are. So you can see here now the design is if Dunny Jr. comes over and makes contact here, what it forces is a couple things. Well, one, this defender on a minor is going to be in trailing. This defender here is going to get caught in a screening action, and he's either going to have to communicate some type of switch. He's going to fall back. This defender is going to have to trail off, right? It's going to force some action here from the low man because they're going to have to tag in here on Corin. So this action is like pretty solid when executed well because it just forces a lot of decision-making, a lot of communication, and, two guys in the corners here, so you have a lot of space to work with. But you see what ends up happening is Dunny Jr. just kind of cuts this across the free throw line, never actually draws any contact, and he almost gets in the way of Corin here. So they don't collide, but there's just nothing that can come of this. Now, if Corin stops short here, which again, that's not the play design, then maybe Dunning just kicks out here to the wing and he ends up getting a wide open 3, or this forces help here, or two guys converge here because this is going to be hard to communicate. And then Bebop Cummings gets a wide open 3 here in the corner, but that's just not how this ends up playing out. Nothing comes of it. So now we're pretty much at a reset because of that. And a lot of times that Indricitis becomes that guy that receives a DHO. He's just going to run a ball screen, see what happens here. So he's not necessarily the guy that I think has the ball at the end of the shot clock, but he usually kind of occupies that like middle time in the shot clock, I guess between 18 to 12, 11 seconds, where he's trying to initiate something. So he's going to call for a high ball screen here with Corin, and just not good, all right? The crossover, I mean, this is almost above his waist when that happens, and he tries to make a move, just gets picked. Texas A&M scores on the other end here, and so now Pitt is trailing by 1. So, Texas A&M, or the Aggies did a pretty good job here, kind of like pressing and then trying to fall back into this 1-3-1 zone at times. Just not a good decision here. I don't think head coach Jeff Capel's reaction is bad. Sometimes I always look over here to see if his reaction is really poor. Not the worst thought here, but just not a good pass. This results in a turnover, and the Aggies come down here, and so they end up scoring. This is a couple possessions later. So this is them pressing and then falling back into their 1-3-1. So now Witherspoon is the primary ball handler on these situations. Same type of action that we've been highlighting here. Doesn't work quite the same against a zone look as it does against man. Tries to accomplish a similar thing. I think the timing here is a little bit better. It does force some decision-making, but because those two players up top are always going to defend the players above the break, or above the three-point line, above the circle, that they were able to communicate that or just kind of naturally fall into their rotations. Witherspoon tries to look for Corin, doesn't go there. I mean, that's probably where I would be looking too. Now we have No just trying to initiate again, kind of that middle clock period where he's going to do that. Witherspoon consistently likes to drive left, right? And he's going to drive right here, and then he's going to spin back, right? So he tries to initiate left. Nothing goes there. Goes right. Tries to just patent in like spin moves. This is going to maybe be a jumper. No, this isn't the worst attempt in the world, right? I mean, this just like literally hits the front of the rim. The issue here is that I think with his efficiency levels, which are not high, that this is probably not the shot that the Panthers are looking to have in this situation. Granted, there's only 4 seconds left, but could they have worked something else besides Witherspoon pounding the ball for 5 seconds only to attempt like a step through with his offhand contested to try to get within 1 point here? I'm just not so sure. Next possession here, this one's a little bit more glaring. So Pitt's going to run their wheel action that they typically do against the zone. I generally don't think this is a problem, actually, because it's going to have an Indricitis if the ball swings quickly here. There's a potential for an open 3. Outside ball screen, not the worst thing here. Minor, I like that he snakes this out. A lot of space created here, and I think either this has got to be his three-pointer that we highlighted in the last video, or he is going to be able to swing this ball to what would be a wide-open Witherspoon who's not shooting the ball well, but this would be a completely wide-open look. But this is the result. I mean, he just goes kind of one pass away. This is going to be defended right away. I think the skip pass here by Noj is not the worst thing by Andrusaitis to find this, but I mean, this is not the most optimal shot. Then I think this could get worked into a wide open court. This is probably your most efficient offensive player right now. He was shooting the ball, I think, close to like 60% on the season. Probably can dump this in. A pump fake, bounce pass here, anything. Instead, this gets worked into a one dribble forward, step back three contested in the corner by probably, let me look at everyone on the floor, the worst three-point shooter on the floor by percentage. Just doesn't really work anything. Dunny Jr. tries to do his best here to get an offensive rebound, get something to go. Okay, so this is an example that does go well here. This is probably 10-point game, under a minute, maybe a meaningless three. But you can see that, I mean, there are the seeds that Witherspoon here. I mean, I like these Minor sucks us in a little bit. Witherspoon's decisive, able to attack, goes right, tries to spin, loves spinning in the lane, loves spinning off the bounce. I'm not sure that he knows Andrusaitis area, although he's doing a really good job of letting him know. I just think this is a drive where it's like I get caught under the basket. I know I can't take this ridiculous shot, so now I'm looking for somebody. And again, I do like Andrusaitis as a spot-up shooter. So I think the seeds are there for Witherspoon to drive. I think he likes to initiate left. I think he likes to do a variety of spins in the lane. He's always looking for that turnaround jumper. I'm not sure that he always has like a 100% plan. I think that he just knows he can get into the lane and hope something happens. And I think that kind of got them at the end of this game. That doesn't mean that in the future he's not going to improve. Doesn't mean that I don't think he's a good player. I think there's some potential here. But this is probably not the most optimal state for the Panthers to close out a tough game here, or a close game. I think they probably need Minor initiating a whole lot more offense than what happened down the stretch.